Welcome to Train Up a Parent Week 3, y'all. And we're going to be doing a few virtues tonight. And remember the virtues, 10 virtues. Don't skip any of them. Each and every one of them are so important. And so we're going to start off with virtue number 4, which is justice. And I probably say this after every single one of them. I'm like, this is the most important, because that's the way that I teach. I'm like, this is probably, because they're all so important. And justice is simple. It's just teaching our children to be others conscious, which is the Bible, right? To have a successful life, I cannot raise children who are about themselves. Some of you know adults, kids, that's all about them. And Jesus gave us a better way. And as parents, it's important that we instill in their hearts, you are not the center of the world. You're not the most important thing in the world. And that a better life is a life of giving to others, of encouraging others, of building others up, and to be others conscious. So from as young as our kids can remember, we are constantly pointing them to, showing them that other people are important. And we do that, remember, we parent at home for what we want in the world, but even when we go out into the world, me and Holly have always been very big of the little things that we do that are building blocks of teaching our kids how important other people are. You're at a fast food restaurant, and many people just eat, pack up, and go. They leave all their mess on the table. That's not being conscientious of the people that are working there. The Andersons, that table, my wife has been big about this, is better than when we showed up. And that even goes for a regular restaurant. Peter Piper drives me nuts because I'm like, honey, you're not supposed to throw your stuff away. Like they have people, they have to look at, see the person there with the cart, they come. She's like, nope, Andersons don't do that. We clean it all up. So I'm picking everything up, have to dump it up in the little trash holes that it doesn't fit in. And, but these are the little things that we do that go, my kids are learning not by what I say, but by our example. Shopping carts, that's a big one. Do you just leave it out in there, or do you purposefully, and as your kids get older, I help them, we always put the shopping cart back because we want to be, that's something nice for the people that are working. We put them all there, and we're conscientious of those things. When we rent a house, and as annoying as my wife has been when we go to Cape Cod for the last 20 years, we leave, and so the people that we rent from, they no longer charge us a cleaning fee. They don't have cleaners come in. That's how clean it is. The house is, we work an entire day of our vacation getting that house apps, and the kids are like, oh my gosh, there's cleaners. Yes, there are. They're called you, and that's our cleaners of the house. And so being mindful of teaching our children in every circumstance we can, others are important. They got your order wrong, right? And so what do? Do you give the person grace? Do you give them mercy? Do you give them what you want? Or are you, as our culture calls it, what they call it a Karen today or whatever they call that, right? You feel bad for anybody with the name Karen, but how do you respond and how do you react? How are you with the servers? Do you talk down to or do you talk up to? Do you build people up around you? And so these are all the very important things that if we want to raise up kids that care about others, which is a great life, going to care about their spouse one day, going to put people in front of themselves. You ever been to a restaurant and people have their baby crying in the restaurant? That's not thinking about other people. And people will say, well, I have a right to be here. We have been in a theater where they have a baby crying and they came over and they're like, hey, we bought our tickets. We have just a right to be here. And we have to realize and train our children that just because you have a right to do something doesn't make it right. That other people's rights are more important than your rights. So yes, you have a right to be in a restaurant, but do you have a right to be there with a crying baby? Absolutely not. So anytime that our baby will cry, and I watch my grandkids and my children do it, where the baby's crying in a restaurant and they pack up the baby and out they go outside. And well done. Once again, it's those little things. Does your kid, and that's not so much prevalent now because unless you go to theaters that don't have reserve. Does anybody remember when there was not reserved seating? Yes. And then you'd get that kid behind you that would kick your chair. It was like that AC unit. It would bore into my soul. And we did have one that was so bad that I kind of turned around and I nicely said, hey, your kid keeps kicking the chair. And they're like, I don't know what to tell you. No. And I'm like, I know what to tell you, but it's not Christian. And the same thing's on an airplane, and that still goes on today. And it happens oh my gosh, almost every, like we're have to turn around and go, hey, kid, are they jumping on the tray? Are they, what are we doing here, right? And so others conscious. So we train our kids in our car. It's quiet. Why? Because I parent today for what I want tomorrow. And when I go out in the world, we parent. So you're conscientious of me and mom. Me and mom are having a conversation. Your game doesn't get to go pew, 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 pew. You know, if they have a little game on. We have a radio going on. You can talk quietly in the back seat. But if I kind of can hear you, then that's obnoxious, and we don't do that. Well, why? Is that a big deal? Yeah, all the little things count as a big deal. So that when I get in an airplane, you don't have that adult. You have that adult that are on an airplane and they're on their phone. They're like, hello, and they're talking on their phone like this, and you go, are you kidding me? Like are you kidding me? This is who you are as an adult? Like we all have to sit here and listen to your conversation? Right? That's rude. And now the planes have been doing it just recently, where they're like, hey, you can't have a movie playing without your headphones. Praise the Lord that they're doing that. Because you have the adult that has their thing. They're like, hey, I have a right. Once again, just because you have a right doesn't make it right. And so training our children so they don't become jerks as adults is our job. That's our job, to make sure that other people are important. Part of justice is a respect for authority. If you've ever been to a Little League game, you realize how many parents are not demonstrating this. The referee is the authority. That's who the authority is. And the authority is right. You may see it differently. It may not have been a strike. And I'm telling you, it was a strike. How do you know that? Because the referee called it. Lincoln did that when he was playing baseball. Because he got struck out one time. It was kind of the game thing. He came after and he's like, Dad, it wasn't a strike. And I go, it was. Even though it wasn't. But it was, and why did it make? I said, because the referee called it a strike and made it a strike. And so we want to make sure that we raise up children by example of ourselves. We're not the adults in the stadium. We're not the ones that are yelling at the refs, that whatever the ref, if you've ever refed, I've refed. It's a very difficult job. You'll never get it 100%. Yet everybody expects you to get it 100%, even when they're wrong. They think you're wrong, and it's a crazy job. So we teach our children to respect all authority. By us respecting authority. Your teacher, that's an authority in the classroom. A police officer pulls me over. I may not want the ticket, right? But it's an authority. So I talk very politely. I give them honor because your kids are watching. They're watching what you say about your boss. They're watching what you're saying about authority. They're watching how you respond. And so many times we do so many things right, and we wonder why we've raised a kid in the 14, 15-year-old who seems to rebel against authority. It's because they've been seeing a picture of it for the last 14 years of their life. That you don't respect authority, you don't respect referees, you don't respect the teachers, you don't respect your boss. And now we're like, well, how come you don't respect us? And how come you don't respect authority? Because it's been demonstrated. And I know it's hard because I've had every one of my kids in sports. I've had them all in it. And you're like, you go, all right, good job, ref, you're great. And then afterwards, I always try to go over and thank the ref, even though I don't want to. I don't want to tell you, you did a great job, and I'm lying. That's a whole bulb, that's all. But that's all right. It's good for my kids to see that. It's good even when the coaches have not put my kid in to respect their decision. Doesn't mean that I didn't go to the coach at certain times when I felt like, hey, I don't know if I feel like this is good, and then whatever the coach decides, I'm good with that. Baylor was a senior, and the coach had a sophomore who was going to be able to wrestle junior or senior. Baylor could beat the sophomore, could beat another kid, a junior, and the coach had said, hey, we're going to alternate the kids in wrestling. And I had to go. I went to the coach, and I said, hey, whatever you decide is fine, but I don't think it's fair if Baylor can beat them, and he's been wrestling all the years from Mountain View. I feel like that he should, if he wins the spot, he should get the spot. That's what I feel like. But whatever you decide is going to be fine. And the coach went, yeah, I agree. And the coach did that. So there's nothing wrong with that, as long as we do it in a respectful manner. And we're able to, because once again, the authority has the ultimate decision, we honor it. And this is how we do life. And so we teach them to respect authority. Number 5, which is the 5th one, is integrity. Integrity, the Andersons, and you'll hear me say this, family identity is very important. And so I'm going to kind of touch on that real quickly. So I'll say the Andersons. And like any great team, we are the Dallas Cowboys. We are the Green Bay Packers. We work harder. And there's something powerful built inside of us to be part of a team. So when I talk to my family, my entire family now, grandkids and everything, the Andersons do things maybe different than other people. The Andersons go to church. The Andersons are honest. The Andersons have integrity. The Andersons don't give up. So I'm constantly saying and speaking, in a sense, the Anderson mottos for life. And it's important. Parents, start at 0. Begin to already be saying, oh, Andersons don't throw fits and tantrums, right? Andersons listen on the first time. Andersons solve problems. And so I'm constantly saying those things to my children. So Andersons have integrity. This is how we're built. If we say we're going to do it, we do it. We do everything that we can to do it. And it's important that we build that in our children. So many times I see this where a kid will sign up for a sport, and 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, they're not getting the playing time. And so the parents are like, yeah, they're not having fun. It's about having fun. No. It's not about having fun, right? I want you to have fun, but giving up is never fun. And so we don't give up. If you sign up, I'm not saying you have to do it for the rest of your life. I am saying this. We signed up. You said you wanted to play soccer, so we're going to play soccer. And at the end of the season, we'll talk about it then, but we don't stop doing it just because you're not getting enough play time. We work hard, we continue. And so it's important that we are training that we don't allow our children to lack integrity. Oftentimes you'll find out, maybe a kid has got asked a girl, or a girl got asked to a dance, and then she's like, oh, the guy I was hoping for asked me, and you already said yes to the other guy, and then they say, well, I'm not going to go with this guy, and kids can make up all the reasons and excuses, and it sounds pretty and nice, but no, absolutely not. We had a kid with that where he had a girlfriend, and a big dance was coming up, and he was like, we're breaking up. And I'm like, cool, great. Not until after the dance. Well, no, I don't have to take him to the dance. We're not getting along. I'm not. No. Yeah, I'm sorry. You thought you had a choice. You don't. Andersons don't do that. That's not how Andersons do that. They bought their dress. They're planning on it. This is important. So no, you're going to go, and you're going to have fun, and you're going to smile. You're going to make it special. This is what we do. And then after it, you can do all the breaking up you want. I'm okay with that. And so it's important that we don't allow our children to convince us to do things that lack integrity, that lack character. Because what will happen is you'll raise up a 30-year-old who lacks character and integrity because you gave in on things that were small, things that they had little, right? It's funny how kids can kind of navigate things that are unbiblical, and it almost, like the devil does that sometimes, like he makes it sound almost right. You're like, it almost sounds right. Right? The devil tried to do that with Jesus. He's like, you're reading, you're like, it almost sounds right, but it's not right. And Andersons do what is right, not what is almost right. And so it's very important that we raise up kids that do integrity. I did put this in here as a bonus because I talked about sports twice, and I just did a reel on this. I think that, I believe in my heart of things that are really important for children. And I think there's 2 things that parents miss out on. All of my kids did a sport and they did music. And that's not optional. Now, you can pick your sport, right? You didn't get to pick your music. Holly picked that, right? You're doing piano. So they didn't get the option of that. All my kids are going to do piano. So there you go. It wasn't an option, and they did it all the way through high school. And you also do a sport all the way through high school. There are things that are taught in doing organized sports that children cannot get anywhere else. And so pick it out, and I say, hey kids, what are you doing? You're wrestling? Good. That's what we're doing. And we wrestle, and by the time they get to high school, once we get to high school, you've been wrestling now for 4 or 5 years, and I had one kid, Baylor, who's like, I don't want to wrestle. I'm like, cool, you only have 2 more years left to wrestle, and then you're done wrestling. But we picked wrestling, and we stay with it because we don't give up and we don't quit. You're good at it, and this is what we do. And I think that teenagers can get too much time on their hands. They really can. And when you have time on your hands, bad things happen and bad decisions are happening. If you could see how busy my daughter is, right? She has tennis, so she's wrestling, which okay, but it's girl wrestling. I would never allow. I'm not big. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to let her wrestle boys. No boy's going to get to second base while I'm watching, right? That's how I believe. She doesn't wrestle boys. Coach knows that. She wrestles no boys. She's doing great. She decided. I didn't push her. I'm good. So she does wrestling 5 nights a week right now. Then she comes home. She's got tennis on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. She's got praise and worship practice, I think, on Wednesday. Saturday night, she does praise and worship. Saturday night, she does praise and worship on Sunday. She's in all AP classes. The girl's busy. She's very busy. She comes home, she does homework, she goes to bed. She has no time, right, to do the things that some kids get in trouble with. But sports also teach children hard work. They teach them that you're not the best, but if you want to get better, work harder. Practice, right? Practice. They learn teamwork. They learn how to work other people. They learn with other personalities. They learn how to help other people shine and help the team. There is tools that go to every aspect of an adult life, and there's been so many studies that have shown that some of the most successful, so success can be measured oftentimes by many things, but one of the things that they look at is, was your kids in sports? And they find that more than not, kids that were in sports are very successful. And so I really encourage you to do that, to have them in sports. All right, number 6 will be our last one today. Most important one, I'll say it every time, is fortitude. Fortitude is your ability to overcome problems. And it's not IQ. You know, we've been taught, at least in my generation, that IQ was so important. But you come to find out that the most successful people in the world are not the highest IQ, they have the highest AQ. And AQ is your adversity quotient. It is your ability to solve problems. The people that are the most successful are the ones that can see a problem and overcome it. The people that struggle in areas of their life see a problem and they give up on it. They don't conquer it. They get right. There's a problem in the marriage and like, what do you do? Right? Instead of being people that go, okay, let's see if we can overcome this. And it's important that we teach our children on all points of life, AQ. Solve problems. 10 things real quickly that we teach our children how to solve problems. Number 1, don't take them away. Stop taking your children's problems away. It's easy as a parent to go, oh, I just want to remove you from problems. I want to remove you from things that have adversity. I got to remove them from the sport they're in. Right, because it's hard. And there's a bully at school, so I want to remove them. There's a bad teacher, and I want to remove them. My kids have had plenty of bad teachers, and we've never removed them from any bad teachers because outside of they've never been abused, but they weren't the best teachers in the world, that you're going to have bad bosses. And you're going to have, right, these are lives. You have to learn to work with all personalities. It'd be great if I only had to work with the personalities I get along with. It's not successful. But I want to teach my children to work with all personalities and learn, even when things are stacked against you, how can I have success in school? How can I have success in class? Right? Well, there's a bully at school. Okay, good. So how do we deal with that? It's a problem. How do we deal with that? Well, it might be getting you into wrestling. It might be teaching you how to fight. Right. And it sometimes, and once again, I will always do for my children what they can't do for themselves. So, and God does the same thing for us. He says to us that, hey, I will never let a problem destroy you. So you may be pushed on all sides, but I will not let you be crushed. So God wants us to do everything we can, and He'll do what we can't. And same thing with problems. So there are times that my kids have too big of a problem. Well, then I'll take care of that. It's something that's beyond your scope. But if it's a problem that I'm like, no, you can do this. And we as parents should get excited in a weird way with failure. Well, why would I be excited with failure, Pastor? Because the most successful people in life have the most failures. Failures are where we grow. Failures are where we get stronger. Failures can destroy us and keep us down. But successful people fail a lot, and they keep going, and they keep trying, they get up. And so I tend to like a loss on a sporting event more than a win, because you learn a little bit of failure. You learn how to lose with gratitude. You learn to look at what we could have done better. You learn more out of failures. And so I don't push my kids to have failures, but when they have them, go, okay, good. So now how do we navigate this failure? So don't take away problems. I remember when I think Peyton was maybe 6 years old. He had one of those he liked to play with fighting men, we called them, like these little men, right? And he came over and he had a little man, and the head had fallen off of it. He's like, Dad, it's broke, fix it. And I'm like, well, so number 1, say please. And he said, please, Dad. And I'm like, nah, it's broken. So I threw it away in the trash can. And he went, it was his favorite guy. He goes, no. And he grabbed it, and he grabbed the head, and off he went. And he came back about 5 minutes later. He goes, Dad, look, I put the head on it. You just had to push really hard. I fixed it. And that's a lesson. It's been easy for me to grab it and push the head on it, right? And fix it. Here you go, son, and do that over and over again forever. But there was a life lesson. Don't miss out on opportunities to teach our children or allow our children to learn how to solve problems. Problems are part of life. They're going to have success. They're going to have a lot of problems. You're going to have problems. Jesus said it. You're going to have problems, but be of good cheer. So how do I solve a problem with a smile? How do I solve a problem with a good attitude? Teaching our children to have good attitudes in the midst of their problems. So don't take them away. I believe to get your kids all in chess. I do. I believe in it. I think that it is the most strategic, planning 2-3 moves out there. I think so. They have to be a chess master, but get them to learn chess. Get them to play chess. Number 3, freedom to fail. Number 4, see the positive. We want our kids to see the problem. Count it all joy when you have a problem, because it builds up your faith and gets you to a place where you lack nothing. So James talks about that looking at problems from a different perspective, that this is all right, this is good. I'm going to come out of the fire and I'm going to be stronger, I'm going to be better. There's an adversity. I've got a coach that I'm not getting along, but I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to learn how to tweak things within myself to get in the favor. We're going to pray, right? We're going to work. And so there's things that we can school them on to help them overcome whatever problem. Reassure them, right? It's important. You got that. You can do this. You can handle this problem. Number 6, be there, of course. We're there talking with them. I think number 7 is share, is really powerful. Sharing all my failures is, my kids they love to hear about that, right? And when a kid has a failure in dating, it's going to happen, right? They're going to have failures in dating where they get their little heart broken, and sharing your heart broken and what you were able to pull out of it and help them navigate that heartbreak in a positive way. And what things could you do better? Being a person that can look at yourself, even if the relationship was never going to work, what things could you have done differently in the relationship? How could you have handled that differently? You had this big fight, this big blow up. So what did you say? Even now, me and Savvy will go out on our daddy-daughter date and we get to talk about her and her boyfriend and what's going on. And we have this thing and we navigate, and I'm always like, okay, so what could you have? And she's like, yes, Dad, I could have said that in a nicer way, yeah, right? And what is that helping them? It's the little things that make the biggest difference. That one day, when she's married and they had a fight and an argument, that it's not always, well, they needed to, but instead it's 2 people going, what could I have done differently? That's a great marriage. And so we're training our children at a young age to do that. So share your failures, your breakups. Number 8 is always pointing them to hard work, practice, and wisdom. That if you don't know how to do something, there's always a book out there, there's videos out there, if you'll work harder, if you'll give your best on those things, if you'll practice, you'll be better. I didn't make the team. Cool, good. Well, let's get you some coaching. Let's get you into some one-on-one. Right? You're teaching your child. We don't give up, but we continue to work hard. Number 9 is we never give up. Andersons don't give up. Right? We don't. We just keep going. We keep hitting. We get up. We get up. We get up. This is what we do. And having a spirit and mentality about that is priceless. You get an adult out there who just doesn't give up, right? They just don't quit. No matter what's going on in their life, they just don't give up. And this is something that we want to make sure this fortitude is built up in our children. And number 10, that you can go through a problem and not be stressed and worried. That's very important, that my kids in the home know you have problems, but as God will be one day to you, I'm there for you today. And so I will never let you go through anything that's too big. We don't have stress. Andersons don't live in stress. We don't live in worry. Yeah, you got a test? That's good. Deep breath. Study hard. It's going to be fine. It's not a big deal. You need to win the battle. So I'm constantly telling, Savvy, the battle is in here, right? Oh, you're singing in front of, 1,000 people. Good, cool. Who cares if you fail? If you get up and you really stink at it, what does it matter? Well, I don't know. Right? Okay, no big. You're great. You're amazing. You work. You sing hard. You practice. You're going to be great at this. Remind yourself, this is not the big deal. This is not your end be all. And what am I doing? I'm always helping our children, my children, live a life where I don't want them to carry stress and worry. I don't want them to. You'll be fine. Problems happen. You're very good. Daddy's here. I'll take care of you. I'll pick you up when you fall down, right? And one day God will pick you up when you fall down. Amen?